time for Common Man. Common Man, Common Man, charms the housewives like no one can. What'd you shoot? Where'd we play? Non-stop nonsense on deck today. Tune in, it's time for Common Man.
Okay, calm down.
Why should anybody aspire to be a common man, an average man? Do you realize what it means to be average? That means you're the best of the lousiest, and the lousiest of the best. Now, if we demand more and more for producing less and less, while the have-not nations encourage and inspire and indeed require hard work and maximum effort, if we deify the common men while they encourage and reward the uncommon one...
Can we straddle the 45? I don't think I can say anything right now. I think I got to go to break immediately. If we break now, we can go to 15 and then straddle the 45, because I don't know if I've ever been moved by a montage like I was just moved with that one. I mean, I got to admit, I didn't see it coming. I thought we were going to do, let's turn this thing around now. Because, urgent. Urgent. I thought that's what we would get. I didn't see Kenny coming. I'd kind of forgotten about Kenny, as a matter of fact.
Haven't had an opportunity to play him.
No, we haven't. And he's dead now, Passed away about 3-4 years ago. I remember we did an ode to Kenny Rogers, even though I don't think anybody owed him anything. And as you might expect him to be, there are other people that are overcome with the same emotions that I am. Bradshaw and Bryant, KFAN text line. So predictable. I love it. So predictable. I love it. He actually saw it coming, and he loves it. This might be the best, though. I don't usually idolize people, but Tenneby, you're my hero. Think about it. He's idolizing and pedestalizing Tenneby. Most people idolize and pedestalize like he's JJ. Yeah. Might idolize and pedestalize JJ.
Tiger Woods. Michael Jordan.
Right. He's idolizing.
Kirill Kaprizov.
He's idolizing the bridge producer of a mediocre midday major market radio sports talk show that hasn't changed its stripes in decades. But that's okay.
He might want to take a long look at himself.
Well, I think he should, but that's okay. I mean, it makes me feel good about what we're doing here. Yes, Kenny. Let's get it pumped up. Well done, Tenna. You know it's big time when Kenny Rogers is starting a show. Here's another. Can you slow clap while simultaneously smashing through a concrete wall? I don't know. Had to pull over. There were tears in my eyes. Thank you, Tenna. Thank you.
Oh.
The gambler always gets me fired up to run through multiple walls. Well done, Tenna. Super Bowl, homeboy. Just saw a flock of geese flying by, and I'd swear they were shivering. Pure magic, Tenneby, pure magic. Well done. Regardless of what happens tonight, the Vikings can claim they are at least the 9th best team in the National Football League.
One of the last 9 remaining, yeah.
And if they win tonight, do they play the last game next weekend, or is it the...
I think they play the early Sunday game, so they'd be one of the final... That'd be 6 at that point?
Yeah, I think it would be final 6.
Yes,
right? Is that correct?
Yeah, because you'd have 2 from Saturday.
Okay.
The 2 later that night. So and then you versus Philadelphia.
So they couldn't lose that game and be one of the best 5. They would lose it and be one of the best 7.
One of the last 6 remaining.
Yeah, last 6 remaining. One of the last 6 teams, best teams in pro football. Yeah, I like it. It was well done, Tenneby. Like you say, and you said to me, I like this one. This is an old prize fighter. I don't remember who the first one was to say it, but a prize fighter once said to an interviewer, he goes, tell everybody to not get up and go get a Coke early, because this is going to end early, right? He was going to knock the guy out, right? Don't go up and get a Coke, you'll miss it, right? And you told me you'll want to be there for beginning of the montage, and I didn't know what you meant. I said, well, what? And I thought, urgent, it's like, and then you hit me. When I hear play the very beginning again.
Well, it's just the best part.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Look, it's been
That's so
We
good.
might have to close the show with it today.
Yeah, let's close the show with it. Should we
In case
open
people missed it and they want to hear it, you can hear it at
Should we open
2:49-ish today.
Should we open and close it with every segment? Or should we just play it on a continuous loop?
Just nonstop.
Just a continuous loop might be it.
Wouldn't be any more repetitive than any of our normal shows.
Wait, hold on a second. First a rim shot, and then...
There's always lots of new and improved things at the Common Man program. I can't wait to listen the next 3 hours.
It's the new and improved Common Man program. I mean, I guess there's no tomorrow, other than the season will start next. If they lose, there will be a tomorrow. They'll get up and then they'll start talking about training camp and all that. But yeah, if you lose, you're done. It's win or go home for both teams because they're playing in Arizona. Even Los Angeles isn't at home. Normally, when they say win or go home, like last night, Philadelphia, Green Bay, or the night before, whenever it was, well, no, it's not. Philadelphia's already at home, so they don't have to go home if they lose. But
so it wasn't really a win or go home for Tampa Bay last night.
No, it was not a winner.
They just stayed there.
It was not a win or go home last night. And for a while there, I thought Danny Campbell had been he was
prophetic.
Prophetic. That's what we're looking for. Yeah, because he when he met Kevin O'Connell at midfield after game 18, he said, "We'll see you in 2 weeks," and it sure looked like that.
Did you hear the Rams were using it as bulletin board material? The Vikings had nothing to do with it. They didn't say anything, yet they're using something Detroit said as bulletin board material. Oh, thanks. 2 weeks, huh?
Well, there was another bulletin board material one I heard as well. I'll think of it here in a second. Maybe that was it. I thought I saw another one that people were just like, well, that's not bulletin board material. Just calm down. You have to. Isn't it enough that you're in postseason play and you understand what's at stake, that you need an extra motivation for it? It's like, well, we need to win this game or season's over. Every game we win, we make a little bit more money, and then maybe we can get that ring, Nelly, heart of a champion, that whole thing. So I don't know why people have to search for being...
It is bizarre when you get in the playoffs and you still apparently need an extra source of motivation.
Yeah, and you're always feeling disrespected. I like what McVay said. We talked about this. I like what McVay, he rested everybody. So all the, get ready for the controversy, Tennessee. I know the text line's going to blow up. The Rams starters had 2 weeks off after McVay said, we're not playing for the third seed. We don't care. And I like the way he said, he goes, we respect everybody, but we fear no one. Ooh, that'll give you goosebumps. But it's true, right? So they'll be well rested. It should be. I'm not going to do that. It's going to be a great one tonight. We don't know that yet. It could end up being a complete lemon. Like we saw a couple of games this weekend. Basically were yawners. They were really never in doubt. But I think tonight does have all the makings of what should be a hotly contested game. And we'll break it down as only Common Man in Tennessee can, as we'll take the esoteric approach. We'll talk Vikings, Rams when we return. Common Man program on the Fan.
Fan.
Head over to our contest page and enter for your chance to win a pair of passes to an early screening of the new historical thriller September 5 in theaters January 17th. That's KFAN.com. Keyword contest to enter now.
We have what I would consider a couple of terrific giveaways today that I decided to do something for our listeners, Tennessee, so I was kind of on the forefront of this. These are not giveaways that were brought to our attention by anybody but me. And so what I've done is I've secured a number of Flop, Sweat, and Tears tour tickets. Yes, Flop, Sweat, and Tear tour tickets. Can you hit the oh boy?
Oh my gosh.
Oh boy's probably better for this. Can you hit oh boy?
Oh, boy.
Thank you. Flop, Sweat, and Tears tour continues this Friday at the New Hope Cinema Grill. Take in the comedic stylings of Meat Sauce, Common Man, Larry Mondello Guy, and Colleen Justice. The show starts at 7:30. Tickets are available now at cinemagrill.com, but we're to get you in for free. A little bit later, be listening, we'll give away a pair of tickets today. Also, I talked to Lil B. The street team is going to be out in force late night, early mornings this week, going all over town, breaking windows on driver's side windows of cars and leaving Flop, Sweat, and Tears tickets on people's dashboards. So if you don't win any on the air by being the 11th caller when we do that later, not now, or if you don't get a pair of tickets on your dashboard courtesy of the street team, you can get them at cineragrill.com. And then 5 Iron Golf, the official, unofficial ambassador, is an ambassador for 5 Iron Golf. They're in the North Loop. It's your ultimate winter escape. And guess what we're going to do? We are going to give away a $100 gift card to maximize your first trip to 5 Iron Golf. We'll give those away a little bit later. And you have a piece of paper now. I think this is the cash contest back.
We forgot about that last segment. The fan wants to give you a shot to put $1,000 in your hand with our national cash contest. Just enter the keyword pay at KFAN.com now for your shot at winning. The keyword is pay. Enter now at KFAN.com.
It's back. Is what it is, and we're excited.
All we do is give.
Give until we're about to give out. So we've got 3 giveaways. I guess the cash contest is at quarter past every hour with your chance to win the national cash contest, and then we'll give away Flop, Sweat, and Tear Tour tickets and 5 Iron Golf. TrackMan technology, you'll love it down in the North Loop. I was there I'm going back this week, too. I'm going to play I'm going to hit some knockdown, punch, cut, fade, draws. 10 to be, you're welcome, but you got hockey practice, so sorry.
Well, what time are you going?
You're breaking up. Plus, I don't think the tarp shooter will fit in this. Maybe you should have come up with a tarp shooter for golf. We just come up with a great idea. For those that can't afford TrackMan technology in their garage, we could set some great big huge tarp like hit this, birdie. How about Frankie Sappin?
How did he finish?
He finished. He finished tied for 51st, I think. He shot an opening round, even par 70. Day 2, he was 5 under 65. Then he shot 3 over 73 on Saturday. None too happy, I heard from his handlers. But then yesterday, he shot another 5 under 65. He ended up, made a check for just under $25,000. Probably barely pays your expenses getting to Hawaii. But think about this, Tenby. What if somebody came up to you and said, hey, Tenby, how'd you like to go play Wylie 4 rounds and we'll give you $25,000?
I'd take that.
You'd go, I'm in. Sure. How many tarp shooters would you have to sell to get $25,000? You know how many books I'd have to sell? I don't have many left, by the way. I'm under 100 books, Tenby. I've got 3 full boxes, 26 to a box. So that's 78 books. Then just loose leaf books that I have here at the station and back at home. Maybe another 15 or so. I'm under 100 books. So if you want one, go
supplies are running fast.
Yes. So it was taking 5 years, but nonetheless, here we are. CommonManBook.com would be the place to go.
You might have to start ordering some more.
I've thought about it, but there's a minimum order, and the last 1,000 went pretty slow, so I just don't know if there's much of a market for it. But Peek at the Purple is brought to you by Affordable Electric, local, family-owned, highly qualified, and affordable. They provide everything from whole house electrical safety inspections to 24-hour emergency electrical repairs. Let Nick and his family take care of you with all of your electric needs. And remember, that's Affordable Electric. Shockingly affordable. Tenby, there are so many different ways to break down the game. I think I gave you my theory last week that maybe it was best that there was so much on the line in the game against Detroit. Because I think I asked you this question last week when I threw this theory out at you, or this possibility that I think could happen. And that is, if you look at all the reasons for the Vikings loss to the Lions in Week 18, you probably have to put most of it on the shoulders of Sam Darnold. He did not play well. He missed a lot of wide open receivers. Now, a lot of times he wasn't getting any time either, but he missed some wide open receivers. It's possible if he connects on a couple of tutties, Vikings could have had a couple, 3 touchdowns in that first half. They ended up without any touchdowns in the entire game. And if it was because he felt a lot of pressure, maybe it was good that game meant as much as it did. Because if, let's say it did, let's say the Lions had an extra win or the Vikings had an extra loss and the game was just, we're playing out the string here, the seedings are already set, then maybe he doesn't feel that pressure, and then he feels that immense amount of pressure in tonight's game because he's never had a game with that much at stake like he had against Detroit. Does that make sense?
Sure.
He even said during his news conference, I think it was Wednesday, when he met with the media, he basically said, I'm just going to let it rip. And maybe that is the attitude he has to have. He goes, it can't get any worse than it was against Detroit, so I'm just going to let it rip. And then when you let it rip and you find some success early, maybe he'll have a big game against the Rams tonight. And if that game didn't happen, I mean, I'm looking for a silver lining in the loss to the Kitties and then looking forward to the Rams. I think that's a possibility that, tend to be, you know how it is if especially this has happened to you a lot. You have a terrible front nine playing golf, right? Then you go to the back and go, well, what the hell? I mean, I'm not going to bring home a career day today, so I'll just go ahead and let it rip. And sometimes you play your best golf on that back nine because you're not thinking about your score anymore and you're just letting her go. So maybe that will happen to Sam. But you also worry about the opposite happening where, let's say he has a bad interception first drive of the game. Yep. It's hard not to be thinking, man, I just had the worst performance of the season last year, and now we're off to a bad start. And psychologically, it'd be hard to. I mean, he's been great all year at making mistakes and overcoming them and coming out the next drive and performing well other than the Jacksonville game. Right. But given the heightened pressure, it's hard to not think that, that scenario could happen if he gets off to a bad start. Boy, you're negative. Remember when you first started here, you were just positive. And when you first started with the Grump, you were positive. You were ducky and buddy. Now, after 17 years with me, it's been more than that. Has it been more than 17? Yeah. We're approaching 20. Wow. Next September, it'll be 20 together. I'm sure the station and the company will do some sort of big anniversary party for the two of us together. Well, here's another thing. Have you heard from Chad Abbott in the last 10, 15 minutes? No. Unprecedented response from the listeners regarding the montage. I mean, unprecedented. We've never received. I've got more. I'm going to get back to some of the and not a peep from the corner's office. You'd think he'd go, "You've got to be great job on that. Was a great montage. Well done, Tenneby. Keep it up. Let's get it pumped up around." Nothing from the coroner's office. Yeah. The amount of effort we put into that. Yes, and you get nothing. The unprecedented response from the listeners. Nothing. And you wonder why sometimes morale is down around here. And I ain't the one draining it anymore. I've been known for that. But I was also looking at this, Tenneby. I found this online. It says, you talk about negative. When the Rams beat the Vikings in Week 8, a lot of it had to do with Jared Verse getting pressure following Christian Darrisaw's injury. Verse's pressure rate went from 7.7% in the first half to 30% in the second half. Yeah. The Vikings have since replaced Darrisaw with Cam Robinson. Since Week 9, Robinson has allowed the most pressure among tackles and the most quarterback hurries. I didn't realize because I thought he was filling in admirably. Doesn't sound like it's been going too well as I thought for Robinson. That number kind of surprised me. So, and then I read another piece about the Rams' defensive line is one of the youngest, most promising and aggressive defensive lines out there. I mean, I think if you look at their sacks on the line, one guy's got 10, another has 8, there's 6. They're spreading it around. They spread it around. They get a lot of pressure from a lot of different. They get sacks and pressures from all 4 guys. They don't need to rush more than 4 Tenneby. And so they'll play a lot of zone coverage, and we'll see how it goes. But, I mean, some of the numbers certainly don't favor the Vikings. Others do, though, particularly on the defensive side of the ball against the run game. But then I saw another one that said Vikings' pass defense hasn't been very good as of late. So I guess you just throw the ball in the middle of the field and let them play, right? It's pretty difficult to, you can use all the breakdowns you want and all the potential possibilities, but we won't know until they kick off at 7:20? 7:15. 7:15. Coverage on the Fan begins at 5. Be here for the kaboom at 7:15. Peek at the Purple brought to you by Affordable Electric. Affordable-electric.com. Remember, Affordable Electric is shockingly affordable. We'll talk about the Vikings, Rams, wild card week, and other topics as the show continues here on the Common Man program on the Fan. Grain in Your Hand is back on KFAN. We have 9 chances for you to win $1,000 every weekday. That's every hour from 9 a.m. until 5 p.m. To enter the keywords and learn more, head to KFAN.com. Couple 13-14 past Common Man program. I'm Common. He's Tenneby here until 3, 534 top of the hour. Think we should try to get Versich on today or somebody that's in Arizona with the team to talk about the game? I mean, it gives me a chance to kill a segment, and then it just feels like we probably should do that. Or is it just a waste of time?
Yeah, I can do it. It's
I
just,
mean,
at
well, I know it's the
12:35,
last
it
one.
makes it a little more challenging.
I get it, but, Vershich loves the sound of his own voice. Maybe he might want to do it. Former Vikings interior decorator. I have a new favorite commercial tend to be television commercial. My favorite radio commercials in no particular order are Arthur's, Pomerleau, All Elements, Welshire, Hummingbird, Big Deck, Mauer, Affordable Electric, 651 Carpets, 5 Iron Golf, Federated, and the MGA. Those are my favorite radio ones. And, of course, yours are right there with me. You have a number of advertising companies that you've partnered with. And I like those commercials, too. Those are my favorite radio commercials. My favorite, at this time last year, you know what my favorite TV commercial was? Do you remember? What a pro wants, what a pro needs. That was my favorite commercial. I was in the vast minority. Everybody else hated it. I loved what a pro wants, what a pro needs. You know what my favorite commercial is now? And it's much to the chagrin of Deuce because he's so sick of me doing it over and over and over again. He's getting a good dose of what you go through every day, Tim, and me, now that he's been home for Christmas break. My favorite one now, though, is Sauve Boondelay. Sauve Boondelay. Do you know which one I'm talking about? Have you seen it?
I feel like I've heard it, but I don't recall.
Yeah, it's where Hutchinson, my guy for Detroit, is in the commercial, where he goes into this ballet thing, and so I don't even really get it. I just know that she's teaching me to just say, Sauve Boondelay, and then Hutchinson does this. Isn't that just Saban Bundle? Then there's a coach who says, keep it quiet over there, Hutchinson. Now, come on, everybody, double time. Let's go. He gets him to do it real fast. Anyways, I just don't know why, but I like Sauve. Do you know how many times Deuce has heard me say Sauve? I
would guess hundreds.
Hundreds of times. I've said Sauve Boondelay.
It does not surprise me.
Yeah, I didn't think it would. More reaction to all of the montage action, courtesy of our Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line at 64686. This one says, Goosebumps? No, I'm weeping. What an inspiration. Here's another. 10 seconds in, Goosebumps. No need for a KOC pep talk. Just have the team listen to this. I wonder what the reaction of the team would be. Because who is it? Is it Cam Beasy who choreographs all of their celebrations? You choreograph the montages. I bet you and Cam Beasy would get along well.
I like Cam Beasy.
I do too. I'm not a big fan of choreographed celebrations, but it's what the kids do now. So let the kids be what they want to be. Here's another. The montage gives me chills, but what really makes me want to run through a brick wall is that growl PA does during the words of every exuberant call he makes. An American treasure. I know that embarrasses him, though. And it does. He's embarrassed by being called an American treasure. And again, just over and over, here's another. Chills. Excellent job, young man. This one is just simple. I believe. Yes. Here's another. I'm glad I spent the extra money on waterproofing my phone because the tears were flowing all over it while sending this text message. Don't know whether to run through a brick wall or cry. I'm suffering from chills. And it just goes on and on and on. Here's one. Finally, it's noon. My next wish, it's 7 p.m. and we're booming. This will warm me up. A game day montage. Let's skol.
Let's go.
Well done, young man. Well done. Delivering your laundry, guy. Here's one. Was down after the Lions loss. You have given Vikes fans hope again. Well done, guys. Nobody does montages better than the Grum. Well done, Tennessee. Well done. It just continues to go on. One person said, enough of PA, please. Well, he's the play-by-play guy. There's nothing we can do about it. I don't know what to tell you. Tana, I'm going to invoice you for a new pair of Zubas and a new Spuds McKinsey t-shirt as I hulked up and tore them to shreds from the montage. Welcome back to the spotlight, young man. I just love that the exuberance, the excitement that everybody's beginning to feel incredible montage. I feel like I can run all the way to Arizona, then on to Philadelphia. And then it's time to remove the interim producer and time for senior interim producer. I hadn't thought about that because we moved you to bridge producer once we got Sam Darnold because everybody was saying, well, Sam's a bridge quarterback. I thought, well, Tenneby's the bridge producer. But maybe senior interim. That'd be a nice.
By the way, is he still a bridge quarterback?
That's a good point. Well,
he might not be a bridge quarterback anymore. Well, maybe after last week.
Well, if he plays tonight like he did against Detroit, he won't be a quarterback at all. I think interest in him will wane considerably. But you know what? That's not going to happen. He's going to be really, really good. Oh, how about this? I like this one. Tenna, the lone employee of the Montage Moving Company. I like that. The Montage Moving Company. Did you hear that?
Yeah, I got it.
Oh, I didn't know if you got it.
Tying my shoes.
You were tying your shoes. I mean, I could read these until the end of the program. People are just so excited about what you've done. Blandon is an American treasure. Wonderful montage. And then this one. The only montage that will be better than this is Sad Eyes tomorrow morning. Now, wait a minute now. Can you give the Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line a little, negatrometer there?
He could be right, though.
Yeah, well, it
could change in 24 hours, that montage.
It can change in 24 hours. Results from the weekend tend to be who's the former Jets coach? Ryan? What's his first name?
Rex Ryan.
Rex Ryan. Did you hear what he said before the Chargers Texans game?
I did not.
He said, "I didn't realize that the Chargers had a bye this week."
I was wondering who had said that because I know I'd seen the Houston coach, D'Amico Ryans, had made a comment about that.
That was. Remember when I said to you somebody else had some bulletin board material? That's what it was. Apparently, they all heard it in Houston. So you think that we're going to get run out of the stadium by the Chargers? So the Texans won that game, and it was an odd game to me. Texans had all sorts of trouble moving the ball. Like apparently, now I'm not paying as close attention to Texans football as I once did. I mean, I think tend to be coming off of what they did last season. I think a lot of people had high hopes. I mean, they were considered a Super Bowl contending kind of a club until we got a hold of them. And they were having trouble moving the ball. And there was one play that sort of was a springboard because after this play, Houston started to move the ball. I'm not ready to say it was at will, but they started to move the ball much better than they have apparently in weeks. Was where they had like a 3rd and long, and then the ball got away from, like it was a bad snap or mishandled by Stroud, and he had to scoop the ball up and just, well behind the line of scrimmage, scrambling toward the sideline, fired it into the middle of the field, caught first down, and from that point on, San Diego was, LA was never in the game after that. And so they were run out of the stadium. The evening game. By
the way, Pete Bursich booked for 1:30.
Oh, good.
1:30.
That's good. Well, that Pete Bursich. So, and the Ravens just manhandled the Steelers. I don't know why I picked Steelers in spread swing. No, I don't lose a lot of points because they were 9.5-point underdogs. But after having lost, 4 or 5 in a row, that Ravens club is solid. I don't think. I mean, I know we know that. It's not like alert the media, that I just learned that. But they were really good. I mean, he's basically back, at least in that game. Did I see this right? He ran the ball. He being Lamar. Ran the ball. How many carries did he have in that game? I mean, he ran the ball a lot, and then they couldn't stop him. They ran the ball on one drive. I don't think they threw a pass once. They just ran the ball and ran it down the Steelers' throat. And that game wasn't as close as the final score would lead you to believe. Mm-hmm. I think the final was 28-14, but it wasn't that close. Yesterday's game, Denver gave Buffalo all they wanted for the first half. I think it was 10-7 at the half, 10-3, something of that nature. And then Buffalo did what you would expect them to do, tend to be. They just they pulled away from Denver and won comfortably against the Broncos. Packers look like...
What's dangerous with Buffalo is, obviously Josh Allen is a stud. Might be, you could argue he's the best player in football. But, he was good in the regular season. But he also kind of tones it down from a running standpoint. So then he becomes even more dangerous in the playoffs. Like, I can start running now. Because, you're not trying to save yourself for the entire season anymore. Once you get to the playoffs, you can start doing design runs and be a little more aggressive that way. And he's about as good as it gets when it comes to running the ball, too.
Well, Romo, during the first half, was saying, boy, he just seems to be a different quarterback. He's more patient now. He doesn't feel like it's all on his shoulders and he has to do everything. Then I found myself saying out loud, well, maybe he better start doing some more things because they've only got 10 points on the board. I mean, but I think maybe Tony was right because in the second half, they really put it together and they blew Denver out in the second half.
I do wonder, too, with Josh, this is his first year without Stephon Diggs.
Yep.
And I think we are well aware here that Diggs was sort of a diva, a little high maintenance, wanted the ball, which is good. You want your best wide receivers wanting the ball. But you wonder if in the past he felt the need to placate Diggs and force it to him. Now he really doesn't have a guy. Right? Like you could look at it and go, man, he doesn't have great weapons, but he also doesn't. Now you can just kind of spread it around and make the correct play every time, as opposed to I got to keep this guy happy over here.
Well, it's sort of what happened to Darnold in the game where the 3 interceptions he had was that against Jacksonville. They were all intended for Jefferson. And again, you do get when you have your best players in the league. Jefferson is an All-Pro this year, if not the best wide receiver in pro football amongst the top 2. We talked about Anthony Edwards. We'll bring him up a little bit later, too. Ant said it himself. Hey, I'm young. I want to shoot. I'm a scorer. That's what I do. And if you're Jefferson, it's like, I guess I don't mind being a decoy every once in a while, but I'd rather catch balls. And so probably Diggs is in that same category. I want the ball. I don't want to be a decoy all day long. And I think it was Brady who said it last night. And I think Brady... He still seems a little stiff and rigid when it comes to it. And it's his first year, right? I mean, he certainly ended up being a better quarterback than he has been an analyst so far. But he talked about you have your star players, and then I don't know how he phrased it, but basically you have your stars that they just want the stats and the numbers and the ball. Then you have your guys that'll do everything. They'll throw blocks. The wide receivers that will throw blocks, even though that's probably not what they really want to do. And that's what you got to have on your team. And so, you got to placate your stars, but maybe that's the reason with Diggs gone, Allen's enjoying as good a season as he's ever had, as he seems to be the front runner for the MVP. The Packers look like they were going to get blown out. They fumbled the opening kickoff. And by the way, and look, I thought the result was... But it looked to me like the Packer guy had the ball on the ground in his hands, so it should have been called down. They reviewed it, and I thought after they showed the review, they were going to give the ball to Green Bay. Did you see that play?
I didn't see the first half. I saw the second half.
Well, they fumbled the first half kickoff, and it looked as though that whoever it was that fumbled it still had control of the ball after he hit the ground, and then it was in the scrum, it was torn out.
Yeah,
and they gave it to him. I thought for sure they were going to reverse it. I think Aikman thought so as well. I think the whole broadcast did. They thought, well, he's going to get the ball. And instead, they gave it to Philadelphia, and they scored right away. Despite that, the Packers were in that game to the bitter end until late. And they were just a mash unit out there. They were down to, I think, their 3rd, 4th, and 5th receivers. I think, they'd already been missing, what's his face? Who's Christian
Watson.
He was already out. Then their number 2 receiver, he got hurt. And I think maybe their number 3 receiver got hurt as well.
Jaden Reed got hurt in it, correct?
I think they were down to 4, 5, and 6.
Romeo Doubs got hurt at some point, or he hit his head on the...
He was out. He got knocked out of the game. And then they lost, I think, one of their key linemen, too. So they took a barrage of injuries. Their running back.
That Josh Jacobs run, though. That was Marshawn Lynch-like.
It was. He kept him in the game. He was their best player yesterday, I thought. He, especially particularly offensively. because that's where he plays. He plays offense, tend to be. So that's why he was really good offensively. He had a lot of big runs. He had catches. A lot of people like him, and he played really well. But Philly gets the win. And then in the nightcap, what was it? Oh, so now as a Detroit fan, I don't know if they got. Let's say, you pay attention to the National Football League.
Yeah.
If you're Detroit, would you rather, if you had your choice, you could, you know how you have the idea about the Pick'em League where you can pick who you want to play in postseason play? If you're Detroit and had your choice of Rams, Vikings, or Washington, who would you take if you're the Lions? Knowing the Lions like you do, and you know you know the Vikings obviously really well. You know the Rams and Washington a little bit. If you were the Lions, who would you want?
The most dangerous quarterback might be on Washington.
Yeah, see, that's what
he's pretty darn good.
I think that might have been the worst matchup for Detroit because, and I know people are tired of me talking about the Triple D defense for Detroit, the decimated Detroit defense. That's the first time I've not watched any Washington football other than game breaks. You know, let's go to whoever does the game breaks.
Yeah.
Let's go to Kurt Menefee, and then Kurt does a game break. Right? That's the only Washington football I've watched this year. That kid can flat out play.
He can.
He's going to be a star, man.
Yeah.
And he's got weapons. I've always liked, is it McLaurin?
Terry McLaurin.
This kid can play.
He's been saddled with poor quarterback play. Yeah. He's always been thought of as a guy who's going to be like an emerging wide receiver. Just never really put it all together because hasn't had someone to throw him the ball.
That's a 12.
And he's not the biggest guy, but he can do the contested catch thing.
That could be a bad matchup for Detroit. But you get him at home, and, I thought the Viking game was a bad matchup. I thought the one before that was a bad matchup. Every game, I think, is a bad matchup because of the injuries on the defense. They find a way to win. But
Jaden is just so composed in the pocket. Yeah. I mean, his pocket presence is off the charts. We know he can scramble and get away from things because his offensive line isn't, I don't think, great. But how about the last play on offense they had before they kicked the eventual game-winning field goal, right? Where if you get a first down, you're at least going to take enough of the clock down where you can do one final kick with 3 seconds left, as opposed to, now you're forced to kick on fourth down, and Tampa Bay has 40 seconds left to come back and maybe potentially tie it up. And Kalijah Cansey, who was, by the way, is one of my purple praise back in the day for Tampa Bay, just immediately gets through the line. Looks like he's got Jaden Daniels dead to right, and just speed, athleticism gets away from him. Gets the first down. What a play.
Yeah, he can run, he can throw while he's on the run, and he's a rookie, right? This is his first year, my guess is he'll...
And he can handle the pressure.
Yeah, I think he'll obviously continue to grow as a quarterback. Now, let me reverse the other one, Tenneby. If you were the Vikings, would you have rather, let's say you win tonight, would you rather go to Philadelphia, which you have to now, there's no choice. Would you have rather gone to Philadelphia or Detroit? Who would you rather play for? I know, the Sean McVay way of thinking is the only way to think. We respect everybody, but we're not afraid of everybody. You got to beat them all eventually. But who do you think the Vikings match up against better, at Philly or at Detroit?
Here's where I'm going to bring up points that I know you're going to disagree with.
Okay.
It's hard, though, as a Vikings fan to not get past history out of your brain.
Right.
We've had some bad games at Philadelphia.
Yeah.
There's something about that stadium, and I know this team is different than those other teams that lost there. There's never a good feeling when you go to Philadelphia. Their offensive line looks pretty darn good. They have
the best offensive line in pro football.
Quarterback who can run, which I think would give us some issues. They have a very good running back that I think could give us some issues. Detroit, I at least think we'd be competitive and have a chance.
Deuce told me their wide receiver. Did I hear this right? He said there's a Philadelphia wide receiver that won the Heisman.
Did Devontae Smith win it?
That's what he told me.
He might have at Alabama.
That's what he told me.
I mean, he was a very good wide receiver at Alabama.
I had no idea.
His first round draft pick.
I had no idea he won the Heisman. Maybe Deuce was crazy, but that's a really good team. Big play. Slay can still play a little bit. He had a pick last night. No, I tend to agree with you, Tenneby. I think playing at Philadelphia outdoors in the cold, that's a good football team. National Football League, football, playoffs, football field, football game.
Yeah, Devontae Smith did win 2020.
In Detroit, I mean, I know their offense is splendid, and they find a way to win ball games. Their defense, they somehow... But again, I think anybody, look, if Darnold hits on 2 of those passes, it could have been a completely different game. Minnesota could be sitting there right now watching Detroit play the Rams right now tonight in Arizona. If Darnold has a couple of passes. So I agree with you. I think I'd rather play Detroit than I'd play Philadelphia. Tension beginning to build. You got some butterflies to me? I got butterflies. I really do. And we're still over 6 hours away from the opening kickoff.
Long way to go.
Yeah, you'll hear it on this radio station. Coverage at 5. Be here for the boom at 7:15. 5:34, top of the hour. 10. What you got?
Is there a seat getting hot in Ninkytown?